Excellent. All right, we're going to start our recording here with Adam Albrecht of the Weaponry here, small business. All right, Adam, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are, your business you run, and kind of what your small business does in the Milwaukee area.
My name is Adam Albrecht. I'm the founder and CEO of an advertising and idea agency called The Weaponry. We have office in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and also in Columbus, Ohio. But we have clients all over the country from Florida, all over Georgia. I started the agency when I lived in Atlanta. And we have clients in New England and in California and Texas and Arkansas. So we're all over the place. The quick story on that is I was in Atlanta. I had a couple former clients call me one day at work and say, "I'd love to work with you again. Don't want to work with your current agency. Would you think about starting your own business?" And I said, "Yes, I would." And when life gives you an opportunity like that, you have a potential client say, "We'd love to work with you if you had your own business." That feels like a sign from the universe that you should jump. So I did in 2015. That call was in 2015, and I started taking on some night and weekend projects and launched the business officially April 12th of 2016. So on Sunday we'll turn 4 years old.
Yeah.
And the reason we're in Wisconsin now is that my mother-in-law, at the same time, who's in Wausau, was diagnosed with a non-smoking form of lung cancer, and at 78 years old had to have a lung removed. And we thought we should be closer. Fast forward, she's doing great. She just turned 83 this week. She's rocking one lung, so we only put 41 and a half candles on the cake to make sure that to play fair. But we are a full service ad agency and idea company. So we service clients all over the country. Some that you might know would include Safe Light Auto Glass, Mizuno. It's been fun to work in the athletic space with Mizuno. Fifth Third Bank is a big bank out of Cincinnati. UW Credit Union in Madison is a brand that's one that we're really proud of. That we did a full rebrand on that business a year and a half ago, and so they're absolutely one of our favorite clients. And so when you see those billboards all over Madison or Milwaukee, or hear those radio spots, that came from the Weaponry.
Yeah, that's awesome. And a little bit on Adam's background, and you can share this too, us being all former athletes. I like to get into the mentality of what that is doing for you in this time frame, and frame that with the question I'm going to ask. So what right now, when you heard the announcement in early March about what was going on and the potential changes to our businesses and who's essential, non-essential, whatever that really means, what adaptations did you guys make to stay operational and to serve your clients still at that high level that you're wanting to, whether it's in the short term or possibly into the long term? What does that look like for you all?
Well, the key to life is a good plan B, right? And so when tough things come your way, you have to respond. Charlie, we know that as athletes or former athletes, that this is all of. I will start again. I think that not enough college athletes translate their competitive spirit to the business world. And I think that for me, it's exactly the same thing, right? The challenges that we faced as athletes, the things we were trying to overcome, trying to improve ourselves and trying to be better than the people we were going against. All of that translates directly to the real world. And so when in business, I think about it the same way, right? There's a challenge that came my way, and I need to figure out, is it going to get the best of me, or am I going to get the best of it? And so when I saw that the coronavirus challenge crisis coming our way, we said, all right, we got this. We had all of our systems set up to work remotely. Every one of our employees, we have 10 employees, can work from anywhere. And we had, that was all on purpose. Everything's cloud-based. Everything we do is, we use Google, Google's the G Suite for everything. So we use Slack for communications. We use Zoom regularly and have for 4 years. And so we quickly felt like all the preparation we had done over the last few years to have systems in place to be able to work remotely was instantly paid off. We weren't scrambling at all. We just said, see you on the screen on Monday, and it was as easy as that. I don't even know if any of I encouraged a couple of our art directors to take their computers home, because we have really great computers in the office. I said, feel free to take your work computer home. And I don't know if they both have, because the systems work so well and everything's integrated and accessible from home anyway. So we were good from day one.
Good. A key thing that you said about the mindset and the change, and I only say this because it's not that people in business don't have this or can learn this, but I feel like in athletics, especially to the level that you and I were participating in, that coaches or our bosses, right? They put unnatural stresses on us, not because they wanted us to fail, but they did it to prepare us, right? And those stresses, I think, translate to what we're dealing with in these situations, but also as business owners. And tell me about this, what you feel like as business owners, you were probably putting, I wouldn't say fake, but just you were simulating stresses to your team over time. And so when this came about, it wasn't a big deal because you've given them those.
That's right. We have interesting challenges within our business, in that we are regularly traveling around the country or even internationally for shoots, for production, for client meetings. And so we need to be able to be fully functional from wherever we're at. A year ago, a couple of us went to India for a major shoot in Bangalore, or Bangalore, depending on who you're talking to. And so being ready for those situations, being ready to say, hey, if someone needs to act, needs to be able to get a hold of you to create something on a Wednesday night, and you're in India, or you're in Los Angeles, or you're in Dallas, we need to be ready for all that. So we're prepared, because we are, in our business, we need to be able to help our clients respond to threats and opportunities very quickly. There's a threat that happens, we need to get a message out. There's an opportunity to capitalize, we need to get a message out. And so if we are not able to respond very quickly, the opportunity passes, or the threat gets the best of you.
Yeah.
And so we have been preparing for challenges like this, the COVID crisis, from the beginning. One of the things I like to talk to my daughter about, my daughter's 14, you've met my daughter Ava, is I talk to her about the Michael Phelps training. If you read about Michael Phelps training, and the way that his coach was always messing with him to prepare him for bad challenges, like the idea of stepping on his goggles and cracking them before he goes in the pool. So suddenly he has to learn to figure out, how do I do this if I can't see? And when you prepare to say, okay, if I can't see because my goggles are cracked or because they're full of water, I need to be able to count. And I need to be able to count my breaths or count my strokes to know where I'm going to be. And so it's all types of backup plans, contingency plans that help having those in place make us successful over the long run.
Yeah, I love that. And it's a great example, especially to teach your daughter that stuff. She's old enough to be able to absorb that, but also for her to understand that is maybe in a sick way, right? Our coaches always found a way. When I was 18, I don't know about you, I was always like, what is this dude doing? Like, what is happening right now? And then when you realize that all they were doing were adding to your stress load to see how far they could push you to grow you, right? Once you learn that, then you're like, I got you. I see what you're doing, right? So it wasn't that big of a deal.
One of the things that we dealt with in track and field, I was a thrower, and whether you're throwing the discus or the hammer or the shot, you're really trying to give maximum effort on every attempt, and which is great in perfect conditions. It's really bad in rainy conditions, as an example. And so being prepared to figure out, how do I stand on a slab of slick concrete in the rain and give maximum effort without falling on my face or my butt or, or any other body parts. And so we had contingency plans in place for that, right? Changing up your shoes. You might put a sock. This is a trick. You might put your sock over your shoe to make sure that you have traction in slick conditions. So thinking about those things ahead of time meant that when you got into a major competition, let's say the Big Ten championships come around and your team is planning on winning the entire event, and it's raining, and now it comes down to they need 2 more points from you or they need 5 points from you. You can't be falling on your butts, and saying, well, I'm sorry, it was raining. Like, no. Have a plan. And so having thought through those scenarios ahead of time are key to success, because in those instances, there's going to be people who fall off, right? Who say, I throw in the towel. I don't know how to do this. I've now got an excuse. And it's a good excuse, but not everyone's going to take the excuse. Others of us are going to say, I had a plan. And in that, and there's the great line from my favorite line of all time from Game of Thrones is chaos is a ladder. Right. And so when there's chaos and people are like, okay, I'm falling down on a rainy surface, or suddenly we're all having to work from home, or the government has shut us down, or there's an opportunity there, right? And so I like to think about the opportunity in all of this for those who are prepared and are leaning into this and see it for what it really is.
Yeah. Do you feel this is something I've discussed with quite a few business owners and maybe just friends in general too, but I always feel in these moments it's the great washout. It gets rid of the fake business owners and people, and it washes out and leaves typically I hate to say the cliche word of the cream rises to the top, but as you mentioned, chaos provides a ladder. I think it gets rid of not in a mean way, the junk. Gets rid of the junk and leaves the rest of us to continue moving forward.
The way that I always think about it from a surfing with the surfing analogy. In surfing, or let's say boogie boarding, the key is to position yourself properly relative to the wave that's coming. And if you put yourself in the right position, you ride it. Right? You get the ride of your life, and it's amazing, and everyone wants to take pictures and like, you are the best. You put yourself in the wrong position and you get pummeled by it, right? You get drowned in it. And so I've seen the same thing in business, that there are people who were prepared. They had cash on hand and said, we're good. Microsoft has a policy of keeping a year's worth of salary for everybody on hand. They're fine. They're going to be fine through this. There's other small business owners who are saying, we don't keep cash on hand, and we have a month of payroll or a couple of weeks of payroll on hand. They're going to get pummeled because you have to be more prepared than that. And so yes, I've seen those who don't have contingency plans, who don't have cash on hand, who are not running this like a long-term business, realizing that their number one obligation as a business leader is to keep the business alive and functioning forever. Times like this, it washes. You're right. It washes all of those people out and leaves the best of the best. To enjoy the feast that's left.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna finish up on this. Is definitely not business, but what, from a family perspective, or you personally, how do you make those adjustments at home, right? We're now all working from home, but we're at home with our families too, and they've got school, or we have to provide. In my case, it's my wife helping with kids in daycare, right? Like, they're not at daycare anymore, so mom's on all day. So what adjustments from a personal perspective have you felt like you guys have made, you yourself and then also your family, to work through this time?
Yeah, there's a few things that we're doing to respond as a family. One is my wife is wonderful, and she works from home, on the home. She's the CEO of the home, and so when the kids are here all the time, she's making magic with that. She's really taking charge of making sure that the kids have all the things that they need to make sure they're staying educated. We got piano lessons from home now via FaceTime and stuff. So my wife has taken on a great bit of the responsibility of the family during the day to keep school in session and and all that. In our house, I have an office that's a lot, that I can close it down. We've got a door and it's at the end of the house. So it feels like I've got a quiet sanctuary to get work done. But then when I'm done with the work day, I'm really trying to then take over and spend good time with the kids, take them out to play, take them out for a walk or a bike ride, or whatever. And sometimes Dawn comes with, and sometimes you're like, I've had enough. I need my time. So I'm trying to balance our family's needs by picking up more slack in the evenings or afternoons after I'm out of work, and certainly on the weekends as well. But it's not easy, because I'd say that one of the challenges is that I'm also leaning into this time a little bit. It reminds me of what I know of my grandparents having gone through the Great Depression, and it hardened them in a positive way to say, when tough times are tough, I'm going to be as tough as the times, so it doesn't get the best of me. And you also recognize it's the first time, certainly in 2008, we felt a bit of this too, but not everyone did. There's a sense of scarcity that probably hasn't been recognized since the Great Depression. And that sense of scarcity also makes me run. It makes me want to work harder to make sure that we're taking care of ours, and so that is you never want to look back and say, you never want to look back and say, I didn't do all that I could for my family. And so I'm definitely leaning harder into work over the last month to make sure that we are provided for. And so sometimes it is harder to turn things off at 5:30 or 6. And, last night I was, sending emails, and fully engaged with my team until about 8:30 last night, 8:45.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the biggest thing for all of us, is that the flexibility, to feel the pressure and to actually probably show how soft we really are, right?
Yep.
How convenient we have life, how fast we can get things and be accessible to things, and now there's a lot of roadblocks,
That's right.
from a personal perspective. But then, are you saying hi? Saying hi? That's Miss
Hi,
Charlotte.
this is Charlotte.
Yeah, that's Charlotte.
Hi, Charlotte. How old are you?
Can you say how old you are? How old are you? Can you show Adam how old you are? Can you say that you're 1?
Are you 20?
Can you say how old you are? Can you say I'm 1?
1. You're number 1.
Yeah.
1's a great age.
I know. She's a sweetie. Yeah, the other piece is, like you said, making the adjustments, because you don't know how your day is going to flow and what needs are going to be had here, on the homestead. So I'm the same way. Like last night, got done at like 4 or 4:30, helped until about 7:30, and then I had to hop right back on, and I was on everything until 9:30. Trying to help out with stuff, and it's like, whew, those are long days. That's the reason God invented bourbon. But,
One of the two things though that I've made sure to do every day are go for a walk with my family, or bike ride, and play foosball with my kids. So every night, sometime between usually somewhere time between 9 and 9:30, we is the last thing that the kids do, because their bedtime is definitely later right now than it normally would be.
That's okay. That's okay. But I think you bring up a good point, that you keep something that you have to either fill your bucket with, but also keep some normalcy, right? Like,
That's right. Well, and the idea of anything that is maintained as a regular schedule or routine helps create a sense of normalcy through this period.
yeah, absolutely. Well, all right. Last but not least, how do we get a hold of you? How do we find the weaponry?
You can find the weaponry at theweaponry.com, which is pretty easy. It sounds exactly like spells exactly like it sounds. And if you're ever looking for me, you can find me on most social media as Adam Albrecht, at Adam Albrecht. So I got in early enough to be at Adam Albrecht on Twitter and on Instagram. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. And I'm, as you know, Charlie, I'm also very active on LinkedIn and love to connect. Although I always like some context when connecting to understand why you're maybe interested. That's one of the things I wish I could teach the world, is that when you reach out to introduce someone, to introduce yourself, actually introduce yourself. and say, and share why you're interested instead of saying we're friends. Like, no, we're not friends. I don't know you. I'd be happy to be your friend, but let's talk first. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very key thing that I think I've noticed over the last year of I haven't really been on LinkedIn before, but this year I started and now people are like, "Hey, I want to connect." I don't know who you are. Like what?
hey, I have a couple of other thoughts I'd be happy to share though,
Yeah.
if it's worthwhile.
Yeah,
I do
please.
think that there's an interesting opportunity though during this time when we're all at home to do a couple of things that we don't normally do as business leaders. One is I think that there's an opportunity to connect one on one with our core clients. You know, there are right now what I recognize is that many of the leaders that I work with with our clients, they're very isolated right now, because being in leadership position as a business owner or the head of a department,
Yep.
you're already somewhat isolated because you don't have a big group of people to talk about your
Yep.
greatest challenges with.
Yep.
And so take that and then amplify the stresses or challenges by sending everybody home,
Yep.
and the difficulties of conducting business now, and the fact that then people are at home and potentially don't have others besides maybe kids and a spouse to communicate with regularly. I have found that uh, that there's great value in reaching out and having those one-on-one conversations or Zooms with clients, and that has certainly deepened our relationships over the last month, and that's something I would definitely advocate others to do. The other is that during this time, there's a shortage of optimism, right?
Yep.
There's a
Yes.
lot. The news is so full of heaviness because that's what gets people to tune in. And so if you are a net exporter of optimism or sunshine, this is the time to shine. Other people really need it. And so uh, I recognize, I consider myself a net exporter of optimism and sunshine. But I had a great reminder the other day, last week. Our the doorbell rang, and I figured it was somebody delivering packages. And sure enough, I get to the door, I open it up, and it's our postal service worker, our mailman. And Mike is the greatest. I open the door and he's got a big smile on. It's, "Hey Adam, how are you doing?" And I felt like, I don't care what you delivered in your hands. The best thing you just delivered to our house was a big ray of sunshine. And so I really appreciate that. And I can see when I'm having video conferences with others that they really appreciate a bit of energy and a bit of smile and a bit of optimism about where we're going and what we're doing next. And so that's something that if you have that, not everyone has that. Not everyone has that ability to stay on the surface or rising above all of the challenges that are coming at us. But if you can, that is I know we need people donating blood right now as well, but we certainly need people donating some optimism and some sunshine. And so if you can, give it freely right now.
Yeah, you hit two really good points. Is that this is a really perfect time that no matter who you're working with as a current client, but all of your other clients that you've worked on with the years, this is a time to lean in and make those phone calls. Like I told my team, like, "Hey, you're missing happy hours and getting together with people for lunch or coffee or whatever. Cool, schedule them. Schedule them on Zoom." I bought a Zoom account instantly when this happened because I was like, let's just have our team be ready.
Yeah.
And now they're having Zoom coffees and Zoom happy hours and Zoom book clubs. And I'm like, keep up the normal that we were used to.
That's right.
And like you said, just be there and be the person who's the starter, right? Like, but almost like what we talk about at the W Club, be the starter. That's all you need. Just open the conversation and you never know what's going to happen.
Well, and I found that on yesterday. I had a Zoom with people all over the country. There were people in Vermont and Connecticut and Philadelphia and Portland, Columbus, Wisconsin, um, and and one of the things that I did, I took the host mentality, right, Charlie? We've talked about this, that there's host mentality and there's guest mentality, and I took host mentality and said, "Hey, before we get further into this, I would love to just go around the room because I didn't know, it was meeting 7 new people, I believe. So I just love to know where you all are today, and being able to play host and getting people engaged and saying, yes, we don't have to just jump right into the business. Let's be humans first, because we're all a little short on our human connections right now. So there's great value in being able to connect.
Yeah, there was something, and I know you do a really good job of being able to use your creative ability to post like little thoughts that come through, right, in a positive way, and that's why you're writing your blog, or like one of the biggest reasons I see you writing your blog.
Yeah.
I was reminded of like what you posted about your just be aggressive, just ask.
Yeah.
Um, Something that about the gratitude piece. I watched right around the noon hour. Always our mail comes, and we're downstairs typically eating with I'm with the kids and try to give my wife a break. And the best thing I saw, because I think I'm able to see, right, because I have time, is my little guy. The mail came in the slot, and as the guy was opening the mail, we have one of those old-fashioned mail slots in our house, so the mail comes in, it drops in a basket.
Yeah.
He has, for the last, and I don't know how long he's been doing this because I haven't been home, but he yells, "Thank you for the mail. Have a good day." Like he's yelling through the mail slot. And I'm like, that is exactly what he needs. Like, how many people have not talked to him, don't want
Right.
to touch him or get near him because they think he might have the coronavirus, like,
Right.
and my 4-year-old is setting an example of like, have an awesome day. Thank you for our mail,
Love
like,
that. No, I love that. It's interesting. The last week before we all were sent home, I was in Vegas, and for a giant trade show, about 130,000 people were out for Con Expo, the big construction expo in Vegas. And there's somebody who I'm connected with on LinkedIn, who I hadn't met in person. We have a lot of connections in common, and so we met up at the trade show, and she said, Adam, I really appreciate your blog and all the things that you write, because they are so positive. They're so positive. And she reached out to me basically right after that, right after we had met at the show. Just as everybody was being told to go home, she sent me a note that said, Adam, the world needs what you can send right now, in terms of positive messages. And and I laugh. I think that's kind of a funny thing to be told to do, but I took a moment and realized that she was probably right. That she was probably right, that anything we can do to share a little sunshine, spread a little hope and positivity and stuff is worthwhile. So I've definitely tried to angle my blog posts to share more positive, inspirational, uplifting stories over the last month, for sure. And as you know too, I started a cartoon series that was just trying to give people a little smile on a daily basis with a simple thought and twist on what we're all dealing with. So that's been a fun creative outlet for me as well. My little quirky cartoons. You're muted.
I did it because I've got screaming kids in the background.
Oh,
So I really I find it a little, obviously the levity. I like the levity, but I also like a little bit of the twisted piece of it, because like we all need that little bit of like, don't be so prude and don't be so like irrational right now. Like, you need a good laugh. Like when you sent me what you guys are gonna post this Easter weekend, I being a Catholic, like it was perfect, right? Like it was like one of those like, and people understand after. They won't see this video until after your post, but like that was just absolutely brilliant. And I wish I had the creative freedom to do that stuff, because that's so great.
well, in my business, we're coming up with creative ideas for our clients, but it's really fun to have to be able to think of ideas and put creative ideas and concepts out in the world that no one can veto. And so we're thinking about things like we shouldn't be talking about sex, religion, politics. So we'll touch on each of those a little bit. I like to keep it pretty clean so that my kids could see it and I wouldn't be embarrassed. But the art director who I work with on those, Dan Cole, said, I think that Jesus would be okay with this. I think he would get a laugh out of this.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.